The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM.
Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. You're tuned into Inspire FM 105.1 FM. It's Friday, 10th of March, and the time is now 10 o'clock. Welcome to Mother's Planet, a show where there is always something to talk about in a productive and beneficial way. I'm your host, Neelum, and joining me on the show today is my guest, Khadija. Now, Khadija is, I'm sure, very well known to the many people in the town. She's a key member of the community, offering a range of support and learning services. I'm not going to keep going on about how great she is and the contribution she does to the community, because I will get Khadija to formally introduce herself to the show a little later. But first, Khadija, Salam and welcome to the show. How are you and how has your week been?
Walaikum salam. Alhamdulillah. The week's really flown by, to be honest. We've had some weather. I'm a bit hesitant driving, but I did it today.
Oh, well done.
But it's been a busy week, but getting at the end of it. So looking forward to that weekend, should I say?
Yes, absolutely. Now, I know, Khadija, there was an event going on Wednesday for International Women's Day. So I know that you attended a very special event. Can you tell me a bit more about this? How was it?
Well, it was actually the launch of the awards, community awards, but we were there also celebrating International Women's Day. Mm-hmm. Great event, loads of women. Nice to see our men supporting women there as well.
Absolutely,
I'm quite a key person in terms of the support that I've got. I mean, Mum's always supported me in terms of making sure that we achieved what we wanted and always had those goals and dreams that we wanted to fulfill. I was a bit shy, to be honest, but I think once you get there, you sort of move along, don't you? But I think after my husband has really been the rock in terms of supporting me in whatever I want to do. And here I am, politician, should I say, not the career I would have chosen, but it was one that he told me to enter, and I'm here today. I was serving the community anyway from home, doing all little bits and pieces, filling out forms, etc. People that my dad knew would bring back, could you fill this in for me? So I was always doing it. Yeah. So he said, why don't you just start doing it, and serving the community in a different way? So here I am today.
Here you are, I know, and so great to see you, and so great to see the pictures of you and the women of the community and the contribution that you guys are doing to the community. So it's lovely to see those pictures, and as you say, it's nice to see, especially coming from a South Asian community. It's very nice to see the men support this and put a stand on women having their rights and working and progressing as well. So it's nice to see that. So yes, you mentioned the weather. The weather has actually been quite crazy, but well done you for driving in the snow, because it's something I don't like doing. And alhamdulillah, it hasn't actually been that bad, the weather, in terms of setting on the grounds. I think the gritters have been out quite well on the roads and done the roads, so it's been safe to drive. But my daughter made a joke because I had a fall last time we had snow. And so now when I walk really purposefully. And she said, you walk like a granny through the snow, Mum. And I said, it's because I'm so scared of falling. And that's age. I guess that's age, because with age, I'm finding that I'm more conscious about falling and hurting myself. So I take everything really slowly now. And I'm thinking, gosh, I really have got old. So yeah, that was my week there. But that wasn't the only eventful part of my week, Khadija, as well as the snow and the disruption that it causes. I managed to lock myself outside of my house.
Oh, God.
And it's not the first time I've done it. So when I did it the first time, I thought, right, okay, I'm going to get all the keys that are of all the access points of my house. So the back door key, the patio key, I'm going to have all of them on this key so that if I ever get locked out, I can at least use these keys. but Brains over here has put those keys on the main key. So when I left the main key, that was all my keys there. So I was locked out, and luckily my mother-in-law lives around the corner from me, so I had to walk with a very grumpy 2-year-old all the way to my mother-in-law's house, and I sat there until my elder daughter, my Sarah, came to my rescue, and she had a key, so she let me back in. But gosh, I don't know what I've learned from it really, because I think I need to just keep loads of keys everywhere now instead of having it all in one bunch.
Well, what I've done is that most of my close family members have a key to my house.
Yes.
So, maybe a key with your mother-in-law.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to do that now. Actually, that's a good idea. I'm going to learn from that. That's the thing I'm going to take from that. So, listeners, just to make you aware that today it's a pre-recorded show. So, unfortunately, we won't be taking any questions or messages in the show. We are, however, accessible via the tune-in through Inspire FM webpage, and we are on air. Listeners can also tune in to the Inspire FM and on their smartphones and listen to the show. And hopefully, this show will be aired on the Facebook page, where you can also obviously leave any comments and must like the show around today's topic. Now, in today's show, I am going to be talking to Khadija about Umrah. Now, I felt she was a best fit character for this show because, mashallah, alhamdulillah, Khadija has made this journey several times in the last couple of years. So she's probably got more knowledge than I have from the one time that I've been in my life. So she has a lot of more knowledge and experience in this. So I wanted her to share her beautiful journey that she's made. And but first, Khadija, before I go on about Umrah and your journey, can I please get you to introduce yourself to the listeners?
I'm Khadija Malik. I'm a councillor representing Chorney Ward, and I'm the portfolio holder for public health and wellbeing. But I am Khadija Malik just as a person, really. The titles don't really mean.
And you've missed a very key thing out, who you are as well. You're a mother, and a mother of mashallah, a family, elder children, and your children vary in age as well. So, you've got expertise in the teens, the adulthoods, and the young ones. So, mashallah, you're a mum. And first and foremost, you have the most valued job there, being a mum, because it's not easy. And to juggle a job and a role outside of that is amazing. So hats off to you. Now, Khadija, in lockdown, we had, and during the pandemic, the Umrah and Hajj was cancelled. So it was all shut off, and there was no external visitors that could come and see the beautiful masjids. It was quite sad watching it on the telly. How did this make you feel?
So when actually lockdown happened, just before then, I was actually in Medina in March. Okay. So I had gone to Umrah, and there was all this panic in Medina that the hotels were closing down, and apparently one that was near gate number 6 was going to shut down, and we weren't going to be able to go back to Mecca. We were going to travel back after we'd done another Umrah and return. So we didn't know what this was, the pandemic, and all this, what really was happening. But all we know, there's something had happened and hotels were being shut down. We didn't know. Then there was rumor that we were going to get to Mecca, we weren't going to be able to perform Umrah. I said to my husband, we need to go anywhere, we need to go from there. Let's do our niyyah from there and set off. Apparently there was cordons and people were being stopped. There's all sorts of rumors. Anyway, we managed. I don't know how true they were, but we managed, alhamdulillah, and we got to Mecca and we performed our Umrah and we returned. And when I returned here, when you come back from Umrah, you have this cough. Oh. So I went to the pharmacist, and it was very early days, and the pharmacist says, yeah, that's normal. You come back from Umrah and most people will have this cough. A day or two later, I was in the shop coughing and everybody just ran away. It was the beginning of the pandemic. So I still had those memories within me when I'd returned. And this was my second trip. My first trip was with my family. That's my children and my husband. And this one was with my son now. and my husband. So we'd come back. It was all new to me. And when I'd heard that everything had been shut down and people weren't going, and you were watching all those people, nobody there, it was really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And the first thing that got in my head was that, look, I'd been planning to perform Hajj. So for many years, I'd started to save. And I just didn't know. It was like there was my dream about to come true, and now we didn't know when or what was going to happen. So I was just, there was nothing really you could do. I spent a lot of time sort of watching on TV, but all you'd see was just those few people going around, and
yeah,
you know,
it was quite emotional. It was an emotional time to see. And I think my mum and dad, since my dad retired, my mum and dad, I think my dad retired, and in the first 3 years, every year they were going and doing Umrah. So it was like their trip, because my dad said, you know, every time I was working, it was compromised. Me and your mum couldn't go, so now we can go. I'm going to make the most of it. So mum and dad did. So my mum felt very attached. She felt like she had a piece of her there in Medina. So when she would watch the TV and see it, she was heartbroken. I remember her phoning me and saying it's so sad to watch it, and especially when they put the wall around the Kaaba so that you couldn't actually go near the Kaaba. And that was what my mum's like, I really hope that this wall doesn't stay there as a permanent thing. It comes away, and it's, you know. And so yeah, I'm going to get you to unveil that a little bit. So firstly, you know, you said you went to Umrah. What inspired you to make this journey?
So for years and years, I remember in any gatherings or anything, I would just get really emotional about not being able to go. When you'd hear people's experiences about how they went, it's very different. You can't really experience when somebody else is telling you about how things are with anything. Unless you really go, it doesn't really mean, it's just pictures to you, and you have that. It's exactly what your mum says. You know, you want to feel, but there's nothing more than you wanting to just go, and you're yearning to go. You just want to go, but there was nothing, you know. So I used to sit there for years and years. I'd hear with the people around me, close friends, my neighbors, there's me planning for years, and I'd keep being told that we're not going to go to Umrah, we're going to always do Hajj. My husband said that's the most important thing, so we're not going to go to Umrah. So I never thought that I'd actually go to Umrah first.
Okay.
And I had 2 opportunities with my husband, and every time he asked me, I refused straight away. And I just afterward would just go around driving and just get really upset. I didn't know, but I didn't want to talk to anybody, but I didn't know why I'd said no. And it wasn't that he wouldn't take me. I just said it was with mail and I didn't really want to go. So I didn't go. And then one day, you know, every time we'd sit in the car, I would just put those nasheeds on that would tell me that, you know, the opportunity was never there, etc. So I'd continuously listening to this, and obviously something hit my husband, and he said to me, we just planned it with a couple of days, and he said, we as a family, it's going to be the half term, and I was thinking that the children, we could take the children and you could go, because I'd now said that if we were going to go Umrah, I wasn't going to take that opportunity on my own, because I never knew if I'd go again. So I really wanted to take my children with me. So we booked it. It was within a few weeks, and we were all going.
Wow.
We were very excited.
Yeah. Wow. How amazing. So, you know, and it just goes to show, because, you know, these things aren't planned. Sometimes we think we're planning them, and we're, you know, but, you know, Allah facilitates, and, you know, the door opened for you, and your path was made easy for you, and what a way to go, where you could go with the whole family. Because my Umrah trip was back in 2009. So my eldest is now 16, and at the time she was 2, and my youngest was, my second eldest was, he was 3 months when we went, so he hadn't even had all his immunizations. And I remember having him in a baby carrier and her on tow, and it was just amazing, because, you know, I know since 2009 a lot's changed, and you're going to unveil that, because there's been so, I mean, when I look at it, the TV, I'm like, wow, it just seems like the infrastructure's totally changed. There's so much there now. So talk to me about your journey when you went with your family. So let's go, because mashallah you have been several times. I want to take you back to the time that you went first time with your family and your children. So when you went there and you saw the Kaaba for the first time with your children, how was this, what was your feeling?
So the very first time I went, I just didn't know what to expect. My husband had been, so he said that when I tell you, you can look up at the Kaaba, but stare at the Kaaba and make all your du'as.
Yeah.
And so he was really guiding us, and we just had our heads down on the floor as we walked towards the Kaaba. And then when we stopped, it was just something that you just can't explain. I was just so emotional looking at the Kaaba. I couldn't actually believe that I was really there. It didn't seem real for days.
Wow.
And someone said to me, when you make that dua, and make one that you really want. And I think I prayed that I want to just come back again and again. And because I always believe, and I remember going to one of these talks, and they said that you can never go. People would say, you'd say that you're going because it's something you're feeling a part of your 5 pillars of Islam, etc. But you don't go until you're invited. It's an invite that you get, and without the invite you can never go. Because I planned for years and wasn't able to go. So with the children, my children were older, but my youngest was I think she was 8, 9 when she went with me. And the girls were older, and I was really, really quite anxious because my son's autistic, and he doesn't really like hustle bustle, too much, noise, etc. So I was really like, because the men would get separated from the women when we were doing, but when we were doing the Umrah, we were together. It was a Friday, so we performed at Umrah after we finished, because we got there early in the morning, about 1 o'clock. So we performed at Umrah, then we went back, got freshened up, we went back again because it was Jummah, so we went to read Jummah. We didn't rest, we hadn't slept the whole flight journey, arriving there, etc. And then I remember my little one, she couldn't take it anymore. So while we were praying, she was on the floor. It was like she was dead, really, next to us. People would go past her telling us, is she okay? But she was sleeping because she was so tired. Bless her. But she wanted to be there with us, but she couldn't take up anymore. But we couldn't leave her on her own. So after we finished, we went back. But my daughters then kept her because I didn't want to waste any time and just wanted to be in front of the Kaaba. So the girls would take her away, and I would really, it's quite difficult trying to find a slot, but you can find a space in front of the Kaaba if you were single. But if there was, like, because I had 4 daughters with me, and you couldn't find a space. So I said to them, here's the hotel, make your way back whenever you need to. Gave them money and said, here's money. If you need to eat anything, you can go and help yourself. And I'll get on with what I need to get on with. Making lots of du'as for all those
amazing people. Isn't it, when you go there, because everyone always feels this, that when you go there, like, oh no, you're gonna, like when you're here and you go out with your children, number one thing in my head that always happens is, oh, they need to eat, they need to be, watched over. You're constantly concerned for them, that wherever you're going, you don't really enjoy it. Now I know you say your children are a bit more older, so you're a bit more relaxed, but you, as a mum, you never really switch off. But it's amazing that when you go there, your time is limited, and the opportunities are limited, and you just automatically know that where you've come, your children, there's no harm that can come to them, and you could just leave them and go. But you, as a mum, if anyone said this to me, and I would be like, no, I couldn't leave my child and go. But you can, and you did, and alhamdulillah, mashallah, you did, and you're able to do that. So Khadija, you've talked about mashallah, having the opportunity of doing Umrah. Can I ask how many times you have been?
I've been 2, 3, 4 times.
Mashallah. And is this post lockdown or a one before?
So I went 2018, then I did one when it was locked, just as lockdown arrived. And as soon as it opened, I had planned to go in October. However, I then looked and found, oh my God, I thought, oh, Ramadan's coming up and the holidays. I always wanted to do Umrah in Ramadan. They say it's really different. And I said to my husband, and we ended up booking it for Ramadan.
Wow.
It was just, and then I went Ramadan last Ramadan. And when I came back, I said, oh, can't do Hajj this year. Too many restrictions, not going to do. Everybody that visited me, I said, I'm not going to Hajj. And then I was fortunate enough to do Hajj last year. And then my last trip, most recently, just a few weeks ago, I went with my siblings. All 6 of us went together. My younger brother planned that.
Yeah.
And may Allah reward him.
Ameen. You can give a big shout out to your younger brother there. Well done to him for organising that. May Allah reward him for that, because yes, it's quite nice. It's a special journey. You can do holidays with your siblings, you can go places, but to go somewhere where you can experience that spiritual journey is totally different to do it with your siblings. So talk me through a little bit about that, actually. How was that going with the siblings?
The siblings journey was amazing. It comes with challenges, but overall it was a beautiful experience. We did Umrah. My brother really wanted us to do an Umrah for both our parents, which we fulfilled. And something that you would always dream about when you're older and you have your own families, sometimes it's very difficult to get together, even sometimes. And for him to arrange for all of us and pay for us and take us to Umrah was just amazing. Like you said, may Allah reward him. May all his difficulties be eradicated, and may Allah give him here and after everything he fulfills for. And it was really a really good experience to be with your siblings. No children, nobody else. And when you're in that place, to be honest, you forget about the worldly things. I know I personally, I don't know, you're not thinking about the children. Maybe at a point when you get to the hotel at some times and you lay back, if you do get to the hotel at some point, because that place is always awake. Nobody ever sleeps. So you can go at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. There isn't a time, not at all, where you'll find people sleeping. And it's just amazing. So it was a really different experience to all the other times that I've been.
Well, it's nice. So are you the eldest or the second eldest? How are you in the...
I'm number 3. So the sisters are older and then the brothers are younger. So this was my younger brother.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you felt like a true sister there, and that was so lovely, the dua that you made for your brother. So I hope he does get rewarded for them, inshallah. And very kind that it is that he's taken you guys. So you mentioned briefly there were some challenges with the siblings. Can I ask how this was? What was any difficulties or any challenges that you did?
So I mean, when you're traveling out to perform anything, when you're tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're tested in many ways. You may have difficulties as you go on the planes, the time delay. Not everybody can be patient sometimes, going out to eat, trying to make sure everybody has what they want to eat and you're in the right place. You go to one of the issues we got to the hotel, and that my brother and husband are travel agents. But unfortunately, what had happened was that the supplier hadn't booked in us in the hotel. So we had an issue with the hotel and we were all drained out. We'd been on a 10-hour journey and we got there. And I was there telling everybody to be calm, and this was a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And, sometimes when you're really tired and sleepy, you're thinking, I just want to have my Umrah out the way and I want my bed. So sometimes, there are, I believe that because I'd been so many times, I just believe that these are things that always happen in these places. And when you hear other people's stories, similarities around things happening like that. And it's a test to see how patient you are around this.
Absolutely. And you know, this is the place where everyone's patience will be tested because you know, of the sheer number of people that are there and the obstructions and the difficulties you will face. Now, Khadija, we've got just over a minute until the break kicks in, so I won't ask the next question. I will stop you there now and let you have a little bit of a rest before I go into more questions, which will be after the break. So listeners, if you have just tuned in, where have you been? I have the lovely Khadija with me this morning, and we are talking about Khadija's journey for Umrah. Mashallah, she has made many, so she is a woman that is fully equipped and knowledgeable in this field. So do stay tuned in. For now, go refill your hot drinks, cold drinks, whatever it is that you're having with me this morning, and use this opportunity to enjoy the commercial break and join us just after the break, where I will be asking Khadija about some top tips and advice for you all to make notes on about your own journey if you are planning that. Now, Khadija, mashallah, has actually even made a journey to Umrah in Ramadan, and we are not far from our own Ramadan. So again, if anyone is planning to make this journey during Ramadan, listen in, stay tuned, because I will be getting Khadija to share some top tips around what to do in Ramadan and how her Ramadan journey was. But for now, go refill your drinks and join us after the break. Assalamu alaikum.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Good morning and assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Mother's Planet. It's Friday, 10th of March, and the time is 10:30. I'm your host, Neelum, and joining me on the show this morning is my guest, Khadija. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
So Khadija and I have been talking about Khadija's journeys of Umrah. Mashallah, she has been on quite a few over the last couple of years, and she's been able to unveil some of the challenges she's faced, and she's also experienced a very I would say special moment, because she was able to go and do Umrah with her siblings, and it's something that inshallah I hope to do. I think it would be quite interesting because we're all very different, so it'd be nice to see us in that challenging atmosphere, to see how we would all cope, but alhamdulillah, you said there were challenging moments but you overcome them, and you know, you knew these tests were there, and you know, you were able to go beyond them, and you still stuck together. You didn't have anyone storm off in their own way.
No, but alhamdulillah, I think it's about reminding yourself why you're there. What's the purpose of you actually being there? Why are you, who's invited you? What place are you in? I think that makes an immense difference about anything that you ever did. And I think it takes you a bit of time when you visited a few times to really, because you're overwhelmed the first time you go, and you went for 10 days.
Yeah.
And it's really overwhelming, and so much to take in. And
yes,
and as you go, it just, the more I think connected you get. And that's what it was for me. The more connected I got, I feel like your mum. Even now I'm sitting here, I can feel my heart just, it's a different feeling when you just talk about the fact that you leave your heart, you leave something behind there. And the only thing when anyone says, do you want to go on a holiday, you're saying, yeah, take me to, I'll go for Umrah.
Yeah, mashallah. Yeah, see, that's it, because for you that's where your heart is calling, so you will always feel that, and that's amazing. So listeners, just to make you aware, today's show is a pre-record, so we won't be taking in any questions or comments, but hopefully the show is live on the Facebook page, so if you do have any comments or questions, or even any of your own experiences that you want to just post up, please do post up on there, and inshallah I will do my best to try and respond or share with Khadija herself as well. So Khadija, I talked about the challenges that you faced. Before I go on, now you went post lockdown as well, so you went there when it was all and the madness was kicking off. So that didn't actually probably hit home until you came back to the UK as to how bad lockdown and the pandemic was going to be, and the repercussions that it was going to have on us and our social network. But going back to a place like Saudi and seeing Mecca and Medina, where there is 100 and thousands and millions of people, literally. How did it feel going to a crowded place after the pandemic that we've had and the challenges that we've seen of not being able to see people and be with people? How did it feel?
I mean, when I went into Makkah or Medina, there was lots of restrictions. If I talk about the time I went in Ramadan, so that was my first visit after lockdown. So since lockdown happened, it was a few months later, I think it was that. So I'd planned and then we'd gone in Ramadan. And I think when you go there, even though we hadn't been around people here, it was automatically, it's like you switch, you know that people are there, it's crowded. But alhamdulillah, all the time what I found is that when you go, so now what they were doing was that if you were performing Umrah, you were only allowed to go into the Kaaba area down on the first floor. So the men had to be in the ihrams, and the ladies were allowed in, because obviously we don't wear ihrams, we're in our jilbabs, and we could go through. But the men strictly had to be in their ihrams. And a few times they would check to see that you'd booked a slot to be booked in to perform Umrah.
Yeah.
So they still had the cordon off in front of the Kaaba, and you couldn't touch the Kaaba. But what I found is that when you went inside, you were able to actually not touch the Kaaba at all. But when I was performing Umrah, you actually found that it was so crowded, but I found like there was way made for you. It was like as you were going round, all of a sudden you see all these people, so many people around you, but all of a sudden it's like God was making way for you. There was no one in front of you, and you'd sort of go past, and then the crowded area, is where the Blackstone is, and everybody wants to touch that, and it gets congested there. But apart from that, it was like an easy flow. It's like as if, oh my God, it's just becoming so easy.
Yeah.
So
wow. And so that wall that was around the Kaaba, I don't know now. I know even
the white.
Yeah. Is it
that was still there. It was still there. No, not this time now.
Oh,
but when I went in Ramadan, they had it around there, and you weren't able to touch the Kaaba at all.
Wow. Okay.
When I went back for Hajj, it was the same with the restrictions. Okay. And when you went to Medina, we had the same. So the children weren't allowed in the mosque. So if you were under 12, you couldn't take them into the mosque.
Okay.
So they in Ramadan, because normally when we went, you could take children into the mosque.
Yeah.
So now they put those restrictions in. Obviously during Hajj I didn't have it, but I did find other parents were complaining about the fact that they weren't allowed to go in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But that's amazing that, you performed it in both ways, where you saw the wall there and then you didn't see the wall. So, obviously from emotional perspective, when you went back with your siblings, I'm assuming that's probably when you didn't see the wall there. How did that feel? How did that feel to be able to go back to the Kaaba and be close to it?
I never thought that they were going to I thought it was going to be there permanently. And hence that was the reason why I didn't want to go back for Hajj.
Yeah.
I thought, I can't go. I want to be able to touch the Kaaba again and at some point. But when I went for Hajj, I thought they're not going to do this now. But when I saw those, they'd taken them off at some point before we'd gone. And then they were putting them back again. And then I thought to myself, when I'd got there, I did post some videos of me actually touching the Kaaba. But it was like there was no one there. It's like as if the place was just emptied out for us to get the front there. And they're the moments where that God's looking out for you. And
I was just going to ask what the best moment and highlight of your Umrah trips have been, and I guess you probably answered that, where it's probably getting close to the Kaaba and being able, or is there more?
For me, I had actually sitting in front of the Kaaba, and just being able to my du'as and have that connection. And one special moment I had was that I sat down and I had the opportunities to do all the things I really wanted to, touch the Kaaba, being at the front, doing everything. But the one thing I wasn't able to do was touch the Hajri Aswad, the black stone, and you know how hard that is, and people get squashed, all sorts. And I never wanted to do that and get squashed. So I sat there praying in front of the Kaaba, and this is when I went with my son, and an Egyptian sister came and sat next to me, and she asked me, she could speak English, and she asked me who I came with, and I said I'd come with my son and husband, but they were doing their own bits, because when I get there, I don't want to know about anybody else. I'm really selfish. My children tell me that as well, but I am.
Yeah.
I'm there for a purpose, and I want to make all the time that I can to be every second in front of the Kaaba.
Absolutely.
So I sat there and I was wishing that one thing I haven't done is gone there. So she said, I'm scared to go there, and that's one thing I haven't done. And I've come with my two sons and husband, and my sons are with my husband, but I'm too scared on my own, and I wanted to do a tawaf. And I said to her, why are you scared? Come on, I'm on my own as well, but I am claustrophobic. But when I'm there, it's just different. So she linked her arm with me, and we set off, and we made our need, and we did our tawaf. And as we went round, she could speak Arabic, so she spoke to one of the soldiers, and she said to him, look, we wanted to touch the Hajri Aswad. Is there any chance? He said to us, go back and come back at Maghrib time. And we went forward, and all the men at the front row had to sit down because the adhan was about to go. There was no one at the front. The front of the Kaaba was empty, and there was a row of women, only a handful. And she told him that you told me to come back, and he said, just wait there. And we went. She went first on her own, literally, and she put her head in. When she returned, she went forward, and then I went and I did it, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, if I'd prayed for anything else, it would have happened. Nobody around us, literally on our own. The whole place was empty, and if any men tried to come forward, they would just shout at them, and they literally telling them to sit down. They weren't allowed to come because the ladies were there and they shouldn't be anywhere near us. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that I'd actually.
Wow.
So that was my moment where it was just a different feeling.
I've got goosebumps just hearing that, and it's amazing. So I mean, we've talked about you being and spending time in the Kaaba. How I haven't mentioned it much here, but how was it when you went to Medina? Did you feel the same spiritual connection there? Knowing that you're in the city where the Prophet ﷺ is, and being there. How did you feel in Medina?
So Alhamdulillah, I've always, for me, because when you're doing, you're performing tawaf, you're doing Umrah when you're in Makkah.
Yeah.
You're always doing. It's not that you're not praying when you get to Medina, but I just had a different feeling when I was in Makkah.
Yeah.
It was so more peaceful when you get to Medina.
Yeah.
You're not doing the tawaf. You're just reading. You're sitting. You're sending your salawats over the Prophet, and going in to the Rawda Mubarak.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, for me, the most anxious part, where women are pushing and shoving to get inside. They've made a system where you have to book it, but as you walk in and outside, it's still the same. And I sort of walk away from the women, and I'd like to just stay so that I'm not pushing anyone and no one's pushing me, because when you're on your own, you're just scared you're going to get squashed, because it's very, very difficult. But Alhamdulillah, it's very different. You're really calm.
Yeah.
It's very peaceful in Ramadan, in terms of you go there. I had my little camera lady when I went in Ramadan, my daughter, Alhamdulillah, she did all the shots and everything for me.
Yeah.
And it was very different in Ramadan when we got to Medina, very calm. It was just praying, reading Quran. You weren't thinking about, I'm going to do a tawaf now and I'm fasting. But I did my tawafs when I was fasting as well. There was nothing. Alhamdulillah, I wasn't hungry. There was nothing. I wouldn't eat until after Isha. I would just have my dates, water. The Arabs give these little gava, they call it, in very small cups. And I used to think, oh God, and it was a bit bitter, but I had it a few times, and actually I quite enjoyed it then. And I got off my tea.
Oh, wow. It's amazing, isn't it, how our bodies adapt to the culture very quickly, especially with the food and everything, which brings me to my next question, because whenever we make this journey, and I know we shouldn't, make it priority and think about food the whole time, because I recall from when I went in 2009, I had a 3-month-old baby who I was breastfeeding, and I solely survived on Zamzam water, because there were times that I couldn't, grab something to eat, because I wanted to make, as you say, when you're in the Gaba, you just want to make the most of every opportunity. And then when you go to Medina, which I found was very family orientated, and it was really nice, because I love the way after Maghrib they pull the rugs out, and all the families sit down to have their meals. That's consistent throughout the year, whether it's in Ramadan or whether it's outside of Ramadan. The Maghrib was like the key time everyone sat down with their cups of tea and used to chill out. So it's quite nice seeing that in Medina. But I found that my Zamzam was the thing that kept me going. But you do think now, I think if I were to go, because I've got children that are a bit more younger, and not as young as 3 months, where they're dependent on me, they actually need food. Is food an issue out there? How would you say, can we get anything there now?
You can get everything there. Most people like to go there because it's all halal there when you get there. KFC,
Yes.
McDonald's.
Oh, wow. All of those fast food places there. They didn't have that then.
Starbucks. So, they've got loads of other American ones as well. So there's loads of places you can go and eat, whether you want an Asian, a Chinese, or you name it, you can get it there, everything.
Oh, okay.
But
so an issue.
No, it's not. But, the biggest thing for me, lightweight, carrying in your rucksack, peanuts.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I used to have, so I made sure I had dehydration tablets with me.
Yeah.
So if you felt that you were dehydrated because of the sun, etc., I would just have them, tablets in my bag. I'd have a little pack with all my medication really in there. I didn't really need it at all there. It's like as if your whole pains just go away. It's like as if you've been lying some of the time. And I do have a lot of health issues.
Yeah.
But I felt like, I think when you're so connected and you're there, we get all the vitamin D, all the sun there. I remember getting burnt on a Jummah. I came back, my whole nose and my forehead was all, because it was so hot, and you wanted to put water on your face, your sun cream going, and you're so into reading and doing everything that you forget your hat's still on, but it's so hot directly. Sometimes the sun is just hitting you direct from the Kaaba, that, and I, to get a good spot, I'd gone 9 a.m, and by the time I left, it was like 12:30, 1:45.
No, and I think we underestimate the heat. And there is a difference. I don't know if you felt it, but the heat in when you're at Makkah is different to the heat in Medina.
Definitely. But this time it was very cold in Medina, where it was hot in Makkah. This last trip I made, and we needed our jumpers in Medina.
Yes, because I remember I went in, it was April time when I went, and I remember in Makkah it was unbearably hot. And when we'd come to Medina at Fajr time, up until the time Zohar actually kicked in, I remember walking around in a cardigan, in a jacket, and wrapping up a bit more, because I felt the chill. I was like, wow, it's April time and it's a bit chilly around this time. But after Zohar, when the sun had come out, it was hot, but it wasn't unbearably hot as it was in Makkah. And I think now the infrastructure's changed, because there's some, I don't know, you could probably correct me now on this. I've been told that when you go to Makkah, the entrance to the Kaaba, there's only one way of coming in, because when I went, you could come in from any gate. Is there specific gates in and out, or is this?
Yeah, there are now. There are the specific gates that you can come in from. They've sort of made it a one-way system so people don't get crushed.
Wow.
And lots of cordoning off around the Makkah. You don't know when they're going to block one area off. You might have to walk a long distance before you get back. I used to just look up, find the tower, and I knew where I was going. They were like, you're a tour guide, and if they changed something and I wasn't aware of it, I was told off. You're not a very good tour guide, are you?
Yeah.
But some of the times, they just do, they just block something off. But
Wow.
Alhamdulillah, we'd find a way back, because you just look up, see where the tower is, because that's where we were staying, and you just start going round.
Yeah. I know. And I guess you must have burnt some calories out there, like on average doing, I don't know if you were monitoring your steps, but I remember my mum saying she was doing about 20,000 steps a day in Mecca.
Yeah, if you were doing all the umrahs, etc., you'd probably be doing that. But I was spending a lot of time just sitting there. So if you're going in and out, yeah, if you went in, say, at the hot time and you came out after Isha or Maghrib, sometime you could nip out. But between Asr and Maghrib, if you nip out, you can't get back in again.
Oh,
Especially between Asr and Maghrib, you couldn't get in again because they've got a limit of people that can go in and then they block off and don't allow you in. So you need enough time to be able to get to the Kaaba. And the women are always hushed off in places because they're cleaning them, or there isn't that much space, because Islamically, men should be at the front. So the men are the priority in front, because your prayers aren't even valid if you're in front of the men, so they, they have to make sure the men are in front. So if there's more men inside, they have to be in front of you, you have to be behind. And you always want to make sure that, for me, it was, if I'm there, I want to be in front of the Kaaba. So I always made sure that I left enough time to be able to go there. And you do forget when you go the first time and you've gone and all of a sudden the cordons are off and then you get sent to the top floors to go and pray there. So, which isn't bad really, but sometimes, and then you get the hang of it that you've got to go at least an hour, 2 hours before Salah times to get inside.
Yeah. So I guess I'm conscious of time. We've got probably about 5-6 minutes left, so we're not too bad at the moment. But was the not having, I guess you gave me a brief story about the Egyptian lady that you met, and she communicated to you in English and she was able to communicate to the guards in Arabic. But have you picked up on any Arabic? Do you find that not being able to speak Arabic is a barrier?
I think it is really important. I would love to speak Arabic. I think it's sorry.
No, that's okay. Have you got some water there?
Yeah. Okay. I think it's really important that the language, but there are security guards, soldiers that can speak. Sorry.
Have a sip of your water. That's fine. You go there and have a sip of your water. And in that time, listeners, if you have just tuned in, I've got Khadija with me this morning, and we are talking about Khadija's journey on Umrah and how she has her experience, her knowledge, what preparations she has made. I'm going to get to that bit now, just letting her clear her throat, because I've got her doing a lot of talking this morning. So I've dried your throat out. So I am sorry about that. So I have got Khadija sharing our journey. Now, I just asked a question around the language barrier, and you're saying that you're picking up on Arabic.
Well, I started and then it sort of went away again, but I think it's really, really important that you do know the language, because people that are fluent in Arabic can get a maneuver around a bit. It's not that it stops you. There are no barriers when you're there, but you'll always find somebody, even if it's the cleaners, if you speak Urdu, they'll speak Urdu, and they can translate for you because they can all speak Arabic. So most of the time people will go as a group. I've never gone as a group, and we've gone as a family. We've gone to the courses to learn to do things, and I'm no expert in terms of I've only read by the books and my teacher, alhamdulillah, and learned from there. And there's always you're always learning, there's things that you'll find out, but I personally find that knowing the language is that much more beneficial.
So okay, now last thing to ask you, well, I wanted to ask you a couple more questions actually, but one I really want to know, but I always feel this because mashallah, you've made several trips to Makkah, Medina now, and you've performed Hajj as well. So you've done the key part that as a Muslim we must try and do, which is performance of Hajj. How does this make you feel from a spiritually connected person? Do you think each journey has changed the way you are as a person? It's changed you spiritually, more connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How has this impacted you? Because when we're there, you're in a different trance. You're, you are, we are close and connected to Allah wherever we are, but when you're there, you feel that extra closeness, an extra connection. And many people, because they feel that, will make several journeys and will go there. But now you've come back and you are where you are and you're living your daily life. How do you keep that connection? How are you with that?
I think, performing, praying, I think this, it's really hard to describe. Every time I've been going, you just have this feeling within you. It's really hard to describe, but you make more of the effort. I always have it in my head when sometimes you're working and you think about, well, if I did a bit of overtime, I'd earn a bit more money. And to be honest, that's the mind I have. So if I do a bit more, if I'm praying a bit more, if I'm reading a bit more, that's my overtime as being rewarded. When you sometimes think about things and you think, oh, I'm not going to do that, I'm tired. I think to myself, if I was working, I think about the money and think, you know what, I'm going to get a bit more money. So I just do that.
Yeah.
And alhamdulillah, where previously I would probably think I'm too tired to do that, I make more of an effort to do it. And alhamdulillah, Allah gives me the strength to be able to do it. May Allah give me more strength.
Ameen.
And invite me back again.
Khadija, we are coming to the last 40 seconds of the show. So any top tips? I mean, you've got about 20 seconds now. Any top tips that you could say to anyone?
I think the biggest top tip is to be patient. That is very key on the journey, and always remember why you're actually there. This is not an average holiday.
Yeah.
This is your personal spiritual journey, and don't let the worldly things ruin it. And alhamdulillah, in Ramadan, maybe when you're doing your show again, I can talk about Hajj in more detail, alhamdulillah. If I'm not gone away in Ramadan.
No, you're going to stay right put. But Khadija, thank you so much for coming on the show. We are near the end of the time, so I hope listeners, and I have no doubt listeners, were able to take something positive from today's show. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We stream our daily broadcast on inspirefm.org. You'll find all our daily updates on our social media at Inspire FM Luton.